In 1503, Pope Alexander VI received a letter that brought him to his knees. His grandniece Lucretia, just 14 years old, had been found dead in her bedchamber. But it wasn't her death that destroyed him. It was her final message, written in blood on the wall. Not even God can forgive what you made me become. This is the story the Borgia family spent 5 centuries trying to hide. If you enjoy exploring these dark corners of history, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. And drop a comment below to let me know where you're listening from. I find it incredible that we're exploring these ancient stories together from different parts of the world, connected across time and space by our shared curiosity about the past. Rome, 1489. The golden age of the Renaissance. A time when art and culture flourished, but also when intrigue and poison were as cheap as water. Pope Innocent VIII still held the throne, but everyone knew real power rested in the hands of Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, who would soon become Pope. The Borgia name inspired both fear and respect in the streets of Rome. It was in this atmosphere, on the snowy morning of December 14th, 1489, that a scream rose from a modest villa in Rome's Trastevere district. Pietro Borgia's wife, Magdalena, after 18 hours of labor, had given birth to a baby girl. Pietro was the illegitimate son of the Pope's cousin, one of the lowest rungs of the Borgia clan, but still bearing that powerful name. There was no hesitation about what to name the baby. Lucretia. This was the name of Pietro's cousin, the Pope's favorite, the famous Lucretia Borgia. Pietro thought this name would bring his daughter luck, would protect her. He didn't yet know what a cruel jester fate could be. Little Lucretia's first years could be considered normal for a middle-class noble child of the era. The villa was small but comfortable. They had 3 servants, a cook, and a wet nurse. Magdalena preferred to care for her daughter herself, unusual for the time. Perhaps she instinctively sensed that her time with her daughter would be limited. Lucretia turned 3. The first signs began to appear. She was extraordinarily beautiful, honey-colored curls, large hazel eyes, and porcelain skin. But what really drew attention wasn't her beauty, it was her intelligence. At 3, she could repeat Latin words. At 4, she could form simple sentences. When Pietro discovered his daughter's talents, he began making plans. "This girl will be our fortune," he would tell his wife at night. "She carries Borgia blood. She's beautiful, intelligent. If we find the right hands, she can elevate our family." Magdalena was uncomfortable with these conversations. "She's just a child, Pietro. Let her have her childhood." But Pietro had other plans in his head. In the Borgia family, a woman's value was measured by whom she married. And Lucretia was a perfect investment. By age 5, Lucretia's education intensified. She rose at dawn. First lesson was Latin. Her teacher, Father Antonio, an elderly priest from the Vatican, was strict but fair. He had no tolerance for grammatical errors, but the girl's quick learning impressed him. "Senorita Lucretia," he would often say, "God has given you a sharp mind. But remember, women's intelligence makes men uncomfortable. Learn, but don't show off." Afternoons were for music and dance lessons. She was learning to play the lute, practicing the popular dances of the era. The dance instructor, Madame Isabelle from France, taught her not just the steps, but how to walk, sit, and curtsy. "A lady's every movement must be calculated," she would say. "You must never do anything spontaneous. Every gesture, every glance must carry a message." Evenings were for sewing and embroidery. Her mother Magdalena would spend these hours alone with her daughter, giving her life lessons. One evening, when Lucretia's finger bled from the needle, her mother approached. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "A little," said Lucretia. Magdalena kissed her daughter's finger, then looked at her with a serious expression. "There will be much greater." Pains in life, my daughter, but you are strong. Borgia women have always been strong. Remember that. That night, Magdalena taught her daughter a secret. They snuck down to the kitchen. Magdalena opened the hidden compartment behind the cupboard. Inside were small bottles, dried herbs, and powders. "What are these, mother?" Lucretia asked. "The art of survival," said Magdalena. "The oldest tradition of Borgia women. Sometimes you need to protect yourself. Sometimes ... She paused. Sometimes you need to get rid of your enemies. Thus began 5-year-old Lucretia's poison education. Every night, her mother would show her different plants, teaching which dose was healing, which was deadly. Belladonna, hemlock, arsenic ... They memorized the names like a lullaby. Never forget, Magdalena would say, knowledge is power. And for women, sometimes it's the only source of power. The summer of 1495 was the summer everything changed. Lucretia had just turned 6. Pietro had attended a party at the home of one of Rome's richest merchants. When he returned home drunk, there was a strange smile on his face. "Magdalena," he shouted, "bring our daughter. I have wonderful news." When Lucretia appeared before her father in her nightgown, there were 3 strange men in the room. One young and handsome, another middle-aged and fat, the third old and frail. All 3 were looking at Lucretia, but not as one looks at a child, as if evaluating merchandise. "Here's my daughter," Pietro said proudly. "As I told you, perfect. Beautiful, intelligent, and carrying Borgia blood." The young man stepped forward. "I represent Duke Francesco of Milan. Our Duke is 17 and looking for a bride." The fat man interrupted. "Prince Alfonso of Naples sent me. Our prince is of mature age and experienced. He needs the energy of a young wife." The old man just smiled. Giuseppe de' Medici speaks for himself, and all the wealth of Florence stands behind him. Magdalena's face had gone white. "Pietro, what are you doing? She's only 6 years old." "Silence, woman." Pietro's voice was harsh. "This is an opportunity for our family's rise. Lucretia, come here." The little girl approached fearfully. Pietro sat her on his lap, stroked her cheeks. "These nice men want to marry you, sweetheart. How lucky you are, right?" Lucretia didn't understand. What was marriage? Why were these strangers looking at her so strangely? "At what age will she marry?" asked the Milan representative. 12, said Pietro. Standard age. "Too late," said the Naples representative. 10, 14, said old Medici. "She be mature." Pietro's eyes gleamed. "What if I promise all?" "3 of you?" The room fell silent. Then all 3 men began to laugh. "What do you mean?" asked the Milan representative. Pietro's plan unfolded with diabolical genius. First Milan, wedding at 12. If an unfortunate event occurs, Naples. Steps in, second marriage at 13. And if that also fails, Medici at 14. Do you think we're fools? The Naples representative snapped. "No," Pietro said calmly. "I think you're pragmatists. The Duke of Milan is young and a warrior. He could die in battle. The Prince of Naples is middle-aged and fat, risk of heart attack. Medici is old. Natural death is near. Each of you can wait for the other's death. Accelerate it." The 3 men looked at each other. The room filled with unspoken complicity. "Documents?" asked Medici. "I'll arrange virginity certificates for each marriage," said Pietro. "In Rome, any document can be found for the right price." "What about the girl?" asked the Milan representative. "Will she accept marrying 3 times?" Pietro laughed. "Do girls have a say in this matter?" "Should do it because I command it." That night, 3 separate contracts were signed. Each secret, each valid in its own right. Lucretia's fate was sealed with the ink on the table. When Magdalena put her daughter to bed, she couldn't hold back her tears. Lucretia asked, "Mother, why are you crying?" "Nothing, sweetheart. Just, I love you very much." "I love you too, Mother." Magdalena kissed her daughter's forehead. That night, she gave her the last lesson. "Lucretia, don't forget everything I taught you. The plants, powders, mixtures, ... One day they might save your life." "Whose life, Mother?" "Yours, baby, or ... They might take the lives of those who harm you." The next morning, a carriage arrived from Milan. They would take Lucretia to the palace for preparation. The 6-year-old girl got into the carriage, clutching her doll tightly. Her mother was crying as she waved. Her father was counting, the gold coins in his pocket. The journey to Milan took 3 days. Lucretia was leaving Rome for the first time in her life. As the landscape changed, hills turning to plains, the fear in the little girl grew. She had only an old servant woman with her, Benedetta. The woman prayed throughout the journey. "Benedetta," said Lucretia, "what is Milan like?" The old woman sighed. "Big, cold, and merciless, just like its inhabitants." "What is Duke Francesco like?" Benedetta hesitated. "Young, handsome, and ... double quotes," she stopped. And too old for you." "Little lady, much, much too old." When they arrived in Milan, there was a grand welcome ceremony at the city gates. The crowd had gathered, wanting to see this mysterious little bride. When Lucretia looked out the carriage window, hundreds of eyes were fixed on her, some with pity, some with curiosity, some with a strange hunger. The Sforza castle crushed Lucretia with its massive structure. This wasn't a home. It was like a prison. High walls, barred windows, armed guards. The little girl clutched her, doll tighter. Duke Francesco was waiting in the throne room. 17 years old, tall, dark, and indeed handsome. But there was a coldness in his eyes. When he saw Lucretia, he wrinkled his face. "This?" he asked Pietro's representative. "This baby is going to be my bride? In 6 years, Your Excellency." "Until then, she be prepared." Francesco approached Lucretia. He crouched down. They came face to face. His hand touched the girl's cheek. "You're beautiful," he said, "but too small. I'll have to grow you." Lucretia shivered. This touch was different from her father's. There was something bad in it. "What's your name?" Francesco asked. "Lucretia Borgia, sir." "No," said Francesco. "Your name is now Lucretia Sforza. You're my property." The first night, the room given to Lucretia was magnificent. Silk curtains, velvet, beds, gold-embroidered furniture. But the windows had bars. There were guards at the door. The little girl curled up in bed with her doll and cried. She missed her mother, her home, her freedom. But this was just the beginning. The next morning, the education began by Francesco's order. A special program had been prepared for Lucretia. Dancing in the mornings, but not normal dancing. With Francesco's special instructions, she was being taught seductive movements. The 6-year-old girl was learning how to swing her hips, push out her chest. The dance instructor, a French woman named Madame Colette, felt sick while carrying out the orders. "Pardon, ma petite," she would whisper to Lucretia. "This isn't right, but I have to do it." In the afternoons were speaking lessons. Lucretia was being taught how to breathe, how to sigh, how to moan. "One day you'll need to make your husband happy," the teacher would say. "These sounds are important." In the evenings, Francesco would come. Every night, he would enter Lucretia's room, sit on the edge of her bed. At first, he just talked about himself, his wars, his victories. But gradually, he began to get closer. "Are you afraid to touch me?" he asked one night. "Yes," Lucretia said honestly. Francesco laughed. "Good. Fear brings respect. But you'll get used to it in time. His hand stroked Lucretia's hair, then moved down to her neck. The little girl froze. "Relax," said Francesco. "This is normal. Normal between husband and wife." "But I'm not your wife," Lucretia whispered. "Not yet," said Francesco. "But you will be. And you must be ready by then." As her 7th birthday approached, Lucretia's education intensified. Now she had to participate in Francesco's special lessons. The Duke was teaching her about the human body, the male body, his own body. "Look," he would say, removing his clothes. "Don't be afraid. Just look and learn." Lucretia wanted to close her eyes, but couldn't. Francesco wouldn't allow it. "Open. Your eyes," he would shout. "One day you'll be inside this. You need to get used to it." These lessons continued for months. Every night went a little further. Francesco wasn't fully touching it. "I must wait until you're 12, he would say to himself, as if this made him moral. But the psychological torture he inflicted was worse than the physical. On her 8th birthday, a letter came from Pietro. It contained good news. There was a possibility of war with Milan. "Perhaps the wedding will be moved up," he wrote. Or, "Francesco will die in battle, and the second agreement will take effect." As Lucretia read the letter, she could now read perfect Latin. A strange hope arose within her. She wished for Francesco's death. At 8 years old, she had learned to wish for death, but Francesco didn't die. War didn't break out. And the torture continued. Her 9th birthday was a critical turning point. Francesco could no longer wait. "I can't wait 3 more years," he said one night. "I must prepare you now." What happened that night, Lucretia would write in her diary years later. "I was 9 years old. Francesco laid me on the bed and touched me everywhere. You must get used to it," he said. "You shouldn't feel pain. But I was in pain. In my soul, in my body, everywhere there was pain. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. 'Be quiet,' he had said. 'No one will come to save you.' And he was right. No one came." After her 9th birthday, Lucretia's life completely changed. She was now Francesco's toy. He came every night. Every night he went a little further. And every night a piece of Lucretia's soul died. Everyone in the palace knew. Servants whispered. Guards averted their eyes. But no one did anything. Francesco was the Duke of Milan. His power was absolute. Old servant Benedetta would enter Lucretia's room every morning with tears. She saw the bloody sheets, saw the little girl's bruises and wounds, but could only pray. "God protect you, little angel," she would whisper. "God has forgotten me, Benedetta," Lucretia would say. At 9 years old, she had lost her faith in God. As her 10th birthday approached, Lucretia made a decision. She remembered what her mother had taught her. The secret cabinet, the poisons, the doses. She managed to enter the Milan palace kitchen. There, among the spices, she found what she was looking for. Belladonna, beautiful lady. The right dose causes hallucinations. Too much causes death. She began adding it to Francesco's wine. Slowly, carefully, so as not to draw attention. The Duke began to fall ill. Headaches, nausea, blurred vision. The doctors couldn't understand. "Perhaps you're drinking too much, Your Excellency," said the chief physician. Francesco quit wine. Lucretia changed strategy. Now she was adding it to his food, to soup, meat, desserts. Everywhere, but Francesco wasn't dying. He was just getting weaker, more paranoid. "Someone's trying to kill me," he would shout. "My enemies are everywhere." He increased his guards, hired food tasters. But he didn't suspect little, innocent Lucretia. She was just a 10-year-old child, his toy. She couldn't be a threat. In March 1499, an unexpected visitor arrived. a representative of Prince Alfonso of Naples. He had a secret meeting with Francesco. Lucretia listened behind the door. "My prince is getting impatient," the representative was saying. "We have a contract. When will we get the girl?" "The contract is valid after my death," Francesco said angrily. "Death ... can be arranged," the representative said calmly. "My prince offers to help you. In return, we want the girl immediately." "What? No, she's mine. I'll wait 2 more years. And we'll marry. What if you don't wait? What if ... an accident happens?" Francesco's voice was ice cold. "Are you threatening me?" "Just evaluating possibilities, Your Excellency." That night, when Francesco came to Lucretia's room, he was different. He was scared, paranoid, and that made him even more dangerous. "I must marry you immediately," he said. "I can't wait. People have married at 10. Why shouldn't we?" Lucretia's heart stopped. "Father said 12 ... Your father isn't here." Francesco's voice rang out. "I'm here. I decide." The next day, wedding preparations began. Hastily, secretly. Francesco didn't want anyone to interfere. It would be a private ceremony. Just a few witnesses. Lucretia was desperate. She wrote to her mother. "Dear Mother, Francesco wants to marry me. Immediately. I'm 10 years old. I can't do it. Please help. Please save me. I tried the poisons, but he won't die. I need something stronger. What should I do?" The letter was never sent. Francesco caught it. His face turned red as he read. "You ... you tried to poison me?" Lucretia lowered her head. There was no point in denying it. Francesco's reaction was unexpected. He laughed. He burst out laughing. "Little snake, you really do carry Borgia blood. You tried to kill me." Then he became serious. He grabbed Lucretia's chin, turned her face to his. "But you failed. And now I must punish you." The punishment lasted 3 days. Lucretia was locked in the palace's deepest dungeon. Dark, cold, damp. There were rats. No food except water and bread. And every night Francesco came. "Apologize," he would say. "Get on your knees and apologize." Lucretia fell to her knees. "I'm sorry, sir." "Not enough. Are you sorry for trying to kill me?" "Yes, sir. Liar. You still want to kill me." And then, what happened then Lucretia could only write about years later. What Francesco did in the dungeon was the most horrible torture that could be inflicted on a child. Not just physical, spiritual, psychological. Existential. At the end of the 3rd day, Lucretia had stopped speaking. She had completely retreated into silence. When Francesco took her out of her cell, there was no life in her eyes. "Now you're my perfect doll," Francesco said with satisfaction. Silent, docile, broken. But Francesco was wrong. Lucretia wasn't broken. She had evolved. Those 3 days had changed her. She was no longer afraid. She no longer felt pain. She was no longer human. She had become everything necessary to survive. The wedding took place on May 15th, 1499. A secret ceremony. Only 5 witnesses. With the Pope's special permission, Francesco had paid bribes. The 10-year-old bride was like a ghost in her white dress. During the vows, Lucretia's lips were moving. She seemed to be praying, but she wasn't praying. She was repeating poison formulas. Arsenic, cyanide, mercury ... On the wedding night, Francesco was drunk. He was celebrating his victory. "Finally," he shouted, "finally completely mine." Lucretia waited in the bridal chamber. She had a small vial in her hand. Her mother's last gift, powder secretly sent in a letter. Cantarella was written on it. The Borgia family's most famous poison. When Francisco entered, Lucretia was ready. "Would you like wine, my husband?" Francesco was surprised. It was the first time the girl had spoken of her own will. "So you could speak. I speak for you," said Lucretia. Her voice was strange, mechanical. "Our wedding night. We should celebrate." Francesco took the wine, drank it in one gulp, then approached Lucretia. "Now, the real fun begins." But it didn't begin. Francesco suddenly stopped. His face turned purple. He clutched his throat. He couldn't breathe. "You ... what did you do?" "I set you free," Lucretia said calmly. "And myself." Francesco collapsed to the floor, convulsing, foaming. Death was slow and painful. Exactly as Lucretia wanted. By morning, when Francesco's body was found, the palace was in chaos. Doctors diagnosed a heart attack. That was the beauty of Cantarella. It left no trace. Lucretia played the role of young widow perfectly. She cried, fainted, mourned. Pietro arrived within a week. When he saw his daughter, he was shocked. The cheerful child he had left 2 years ago was gone. In her place was a pale, thin puppet with dead eyes. "Lucretia, my daughter?" Lucretia looked at her. "Father." There was no recognition in her eyes, just emptiness. "Francesco is dead," she said in a monotone voice. "Who's next?" Pietro shuddered. The change in his daughter was frightening. But his plan was working. The first payment had been collected. Time for the second. "Prince Alfonso of Naples," he said. "He's waiting for you." "When?" "Immediately. The mourning period will be minimal." 1 month, Lucretia nodded. 1 month. "I'll be ready." During that month, Lucretia stayed at the Milan Palace. But she wasn't idle. She went through Francesco's private papers, found books about poison making, memorized formulas, repeated experiments. She also found Francesco's diary. What she read was worse than what she had experienced. Francesco hadn't just done it to her. There were other girls. Small, defenseless girls. All dead. "They're too fragile," Francesco had written. "Lucretia is different. She's strong. That's why she survives." Lucretia burned the diary. But she didn't forget the names. She would avenge those girls too. In June 1499, she set out for Naples. This time, no one was with her. Just her and the driver. Pietro had said, "You're grown. Up now, you don't need a chaperone." When she arrived in Naples, Alfonso greeted her. 35 years old, fat, bald, a man who reeked of sweat. When he saw Lucretia, he grinned. "Our little widow has arrived. You've had a taste of Francesco now. Mine will be different." Lucretia said nothing. She just looked. Those dead eyes made even Alfonso uncomfortable. "Cat got your tongue?" "No, sir. Just ... tired. You'll rest. 3 weeks until the wedding. Until then, I'll prepare you." Alfonso's preparation methods were different from Francesco's. He wasn't just interested in causing pain. He was interested in humiliation, in degradation. Every day, he would examine Lucretia in front of the palace court. "We're pretending. She's a virgin," he would say, laughing. "But we all know the truth, don't we?" Noble ladies would giggle. Men would smirk. Lucretia stood like stone. Alfonso would parade her around on a leash like a dog. "My little Borgia slut," he would say. Poisonous but tame. One day, Alfonso's brother Cesare arrived. 20 years old, handsome, a polite young man. He looked at Lucretia with pity. "Brother, this child is 10 years old. What you're doing, ... What? Wrong?" Alfonso laughed. "She's a Borgia. She barely counts as human." Cesare approached Lucretia. He whispered, "I'm sorry. I wish I could help." Lucretia looked at someone for the first time. Really looked. There was sincerity in Cesare's eyes. "You can help," she said quietly. "How?" "Kill me." Cesare was shocked. What? No. Then leave. Your pity is useless to me. But Cesare didn't leave. He began coming every day, trying to talk to Lucretia. He brought her books, played music for her, treated her like a normal human being. Why? Lucretia asked one day. Because you're a child, and this is wrong. I'm not a child. My childhood died in Francesco's bed. Cesare's eyes filled with tears. Lucretia, don't pity me. Help me. How? Lucretia handed Cesare a small vial. Put this in Alfonso's wine. On the wedding night. This ... is this poison? Yes. He'll kill you. Maybe, but it will kill him. 2. Cesare looked at the vial. To kill his brother. But to save this child ... I can't. Lucretia took the vial back. Then I'll do it. Again. Again? You ... Francesco, did you? Lucretia didn't answer. She didn't need to. The wedding day arrived. July 1st, 1499. A hot, suffocating day. The church smelled of sweat and incense. Lucretia in her white dress was like a mummy. Alfonso grinned. Throughout the ceremony, he ran his hand along Lucretia's hip. The priest ignored it. Money made everything invisible. That the wedding feast was the height of immorality. Alfonso sat Lucretia on his lap. He groped her in front of everyone. Drunk. Nobles applauded. Show us. Someone shouted. Have the wedding night now. Alfonso laughed. Why not? He laid Lucretia on the table, started tearing her dress. The hall filled with screams, some of joy, some of shock. At that moment, Cesare stood up. Enough. He drew his sword, pointed it at Alfonso. Brother, have you gone mad? No, I've come to my senses. Let the child go. This is my wife. This is a child. And you're a monster. The brothers locked eyes. The hall fell silent. Then Alfonso laughed. Fine. Not tonight, but tomorrow. Tomorrow no one can stop me. That night, Lucretia locked herself in her room. Cesare stood guard at the door. But when morning came, he had to leave. Alfonso's men took him away. I'm sorry, he said as he left. I did what I could. I know, said Lucretia. Thank you. After Cesare left, Alfonso's true face emerged. He kicked the door open. His face was red, his eyes bloodshot. Little whore. You turned my brother against me. Lucretia cowered in the corner. I didn't do anything. Liar. Alfonso grabbed Lucretia by her hair and dragged her. You're a Borgia snake, but I'll tame you. What happened that night, Lucretia never wrote. In her diary are only these lines. Alfonso is different from Francesco. He doesn't just settle for causing pain. He wants to shatter the soul. But what he can't find is this. There's no soul left to shatter. The next morning, Lucretia couldn't get out of bed. Everything was bruised, bleeding. Alfonso called a doctor to clear himself. She fell, he told the doctor. Down the stairs? The doctor, while cleaning the wounds, leaned into Lucretia's ear. I know what happened, but there's nothing I can do. May God help you. Lucretia didn't respond. God had long ago abandoned her. Days passed. Alfonso's tortures continued to escalate. But Lucretia's mind was on only one thing, revenge. Every night, when Alfonso got drunk and fell asleep, she would repeat poison formulas. Planning how to improve CANTAR ELLA. One day, something unexpected happened. Pietro arrived. Not to see. His daughter, to collect money. Alfonso, you must pay the second installment. Your daughter is damaged goods, Alfonso shouted. She wasn't a virgin. Our agreement didn't stipulate virginity, Pietro said calmly. Only Borgia blood and beauty, both are present. Father and daughter locked eyes. There was such hatred. In Lucretia's gaze that Pietro stepped back. Lucretia ... Is my money ready, father? Her voice was ice cold. What? What money? My sale money. Don't I have a right to it? Pietro laughed. A nervous laugh. You're a girl. What use would money be to you? To buy my freedom? Freedom? Alfonso interrupted. You're my property. There's no freedom. Lucretia nodded silently. Not yet. That night, something new was added to Alfonso's food. Not poison. Lucretia wouldn't make that mistake. Something else. A special mixture her mother had taught her. A powder that slowly drives one mad. Within days, Alfonso's behavior began to change. He was seeing hallucinations. He was seeing Francesco. You are dead. He would shout at night. Get out of here. The palace staff began to whisper. Was the prince going mad? Lucretia played the role of concerned young wife perfectly. My husband is sick. Please help. Doctors came. They examined Alfonso. Humoral imbalance, they said. Bloodletting is needed. The bloodletting sessions weakened Alfonso further. The hallucinations increased. Now he saw enemies everywhere. Even Lucretia's face was changing. Sometimes Francesco, sometimes Cesare, sometimes people he didn't recognize. Who are you? He would ask his wife. Show your real face. I'm Lucretia. My husband, your wife. Liar. You're a devil. You've come to kill me. The irony was that Alfonso was right. But no one believed him. Everyone thought he had gone mad. When Cesare returned, he couldn't recognize his brother. Alfonso had lost 20 kilos in 2 months. His hair had fallen out. His nails had grown long. He cowered in corners, talking to himself. What happened? To him? He fell ill, said Lucretia. Her voice sounded sad. It was a perfect performance. It started suddenly. The doctors are helpless. Cesare looked suspicious. Did you do something? Lucretia's eyes teared up. Fake tears she had mastered. Them by now. How can you think such a thing? I love him. But Cesare wasn't convinced. That night, he secretly entered Lucretia's room. The little girl was sitting at the table, writing something. When he approached, he saw poison formulas. I knew it. Lucretia. Didn't turn. Knew what? You're driving him mad. No, he was already mad. I just brought it out. Cesare sat next to Lucretia. This isn't right. What is right? Lucretia turned. There was such emptiness in her eyes that Cesare shuddered. Was selling me right? What Francesco did. Alfonso? No, but ... There's no but. You're either victim or executioner. I made my choice. What about after? When Alfonso dies? Asterisk, Lucretia laughed. A cold, emotionless laugh. There's Giuseppe, dear. Medici, the third and final buyer. Will you kill him too? If necessary. Cesare put his head in his hands. This can't continue. I must save you. You can't save me. No one can. I'm a lost cause now. No. Cesare took Lucretia's hands. You're just a 10-year-old girl? There's still hope. Lucretia pulled her hands away. A 10-year-old girl died in Francesco's bed, rotted in Alfonso's. Hands, what remains is this. A ghost, a killer. I can help you escape, Cesare said desperately. To France, England, wherever you want. And my father? Will he let me go? The Borgias? Never. Their argument continued until morning. Finally, Cesare gave up. Fine, I'll help you. How? Speed up, Alfonso. Then I'll handle Giuseppe. I promise. Lucretia smiled for the first time. Small, broken, but genuine smile. The next day, Alfonso's condition became critical. He was no longer eating, not drinking water, just sitting in the corner rambling. Asterisk, they're coming. They're all coming, everyone I killed. The doctors tried. Their last resort, exorcism. A priest was called. But when Alfonso saw the priest, he went berserk. You're Francesco. You've disguised yourself. You can't fool me. He lunged at the priest, tried to strangle him. The guards barely pulled them apart. That night, Alfonso breathed his last. Official. Record, death from madness. Reality, Lucretia's slow, systematic poison. Pietro arrived the next day. This time he looked at his daughter differently. There was fear in his eyes. Both dead. Both while with you. Coincidence, said Lucretia. Coincidence? Both young, dying mysteriously? God's work. Pietro approached, lowered his voice. You did it, didn't you? You killed them both. Lucretia looked into her father's eyes. Prove it. Pietro backed away. His daughter had become a monster of his own creation. Giuseppe might not accept you. 2 husbands died with you. He will, said Lucretia, because you'll tell him to. You want his money, don't you? Pietro nodded. There was no point arguing. The deal was made. In September 1499, Lucretia was sent to Florence. Giuseppe de' Medici's mansion was the most luxurious place she'd ever seen. Gold everywhere. Artworks, sculptures, paintings. Giuseppe, 62 years old, gouty, half-blind. He tried to see Lucretia, squinting his eyes. Is that you? The Borgia girl? It's me, sir. Come closer. Let me see you. Lucretia approached. Giuseppe's hands felt her face. His fingers moved down to her neck, her shoulders. You're beautiful, but pale. Are you sick? No, sir. Just morning. Giuseppe laughed. A wheezing, phlegmy. Laugh. You've lost 2 husbands. Unlucky girl. Or unlucky husbands. Giuseppe's laughter stopped. Witty. I like that. But be careful. Too much intelligence doesn't suit a woman. The wedding was planned for October. This time there was no rush. Giuseppe said, This will be my last marriage. It must be perfect. Preparations began. New dresses for Lucretia, jewels, everything. But there were also strange requests. Painters will draw you, said Giuseppe. Naked. Lucretia froze. Sir? For art. Beauty must be immortalized. I'm 10 years old. So? We're in the Renaissance. Art doesn't care about age. The poses were torture. Standing motionless for hours. The painter's gazes. Giuseppe's constant interference. Spread your legs. No more. Raise your arms. Push out your chest. Lucretia turned to stone. Her body was there, her soul elsewhere. She repeated poison formulas in her head. This time would be different. Fast. Painless. Giuseppe was old. It had to look natural, but she remembered Cesar's promise. I'll handle Giuseppe. Would he really do it? Could she trust him? A week before the wedding, Cesare came. Secretly, at midnight. Lucretia. I have a plan. What is it? There won't be a wedding. Giuseppe will have an accident. What accident? Cesare hesitated. He'll fall down the stairs. He's old, has vision problems. No one will suspect. Lucretia nodded. Thank you. But I have one condition. What? Come with me. Away from here, from Italy. Lucretia was surprised. Why? Because. Cesare paused. Because I love you. Silence. There was no expression on Lucretia's face. You can't love me. I'm not someone who can be loved. You're wrong. I'm a killer. You did what you had to do to survive. I'm 10 years old. Age is just a number. Lucretia looked at Cesare. For the first time, an emotion appeared in her eyes, but not love, pity. Cesare, you're a good person. You tried to save me, but I can't be saved. I'm poisonous. Everything I touch dies. Nonsense. Francesco died. Alfonso died. Soon Giuseppe will die. And you, if you come with me, you'll die too. I don't care. You should. You must live. I must die. Cesar's eyes filled with tears. What? No, there won't be a fourth marriage. After Giuseppe, I'll go too. Suicide is a sin. Lucretia laughed. After what I've done, what's one more sin? That night, as Cesare left, he made her promise. You won't harm yourself. Promise. I can't promise. Then I won't kill Giuseppe? Lucretia sighed. Fine, I promise. For now, Giuseppe's accident happened as planned. The old man fell down the stairs while going to the bathroom at night. His neck broke. He died instantly. But there was a problem. Giuseppe's will had a shocking clause. All his wealth went to Lucretia. The 10-year-old girl had become the richest person in Florence. Overnight, Pietro went crazy. That money is mine. I arranged the marriages, but there was no marriage, said the notaries. The girl is still free. The money is hers. At that moment, the balance of power shifted. Lucretia was no longer merchandise for sale. She was a rich, powerful Borgia. Father, she said. Her voice was different, full of authority. You can't sell me anymore. You're my daughter. You'll obey me. No, I'm on my own now. Pietro's hand went to his sword. But Medici's guards were with Lucretia. She was their master now. Leave, said Lucretia, and never come back. Pietro left. But his last words were like a curse. You'll regret this. The Borgias don't forget. Lucretia was free now. But freedom wasn't what she expected. It was empty, meaningless. Her whole life had been built on survival. Now there was no danger. She didn't know what to do. She wrote in her diary, October 14th, 1499. I'm 10 years old and responsible for the deaths of 3 men. I'm free, but I don't know what freedom is. I'm rich, but money has no value. I'm alive, but I don't want to live. Cesare said he loved me. But how can I be loved? I'm a creature, created by Francesco, shaped by Alfonso, bought by Giuseppe. Mother told me Borgia women were strong. She was right. But she didn't tell me the price of strength, my humanity, my soul. Everything. What will I do tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Cesare. Maybe I'll run. Or maybe I'll just stop and wait for the end to come. But tonight, just tonight, I'll cry. Not for Francesco, not for Alfonso, not for Giuseppe, for myself, for the little girl I couldn't be, for the life I couldn't live. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be strong again. I'll be a Borgia again. I'll survive again. But tonight, I'm just Lucretia, a 10-year-old, tired, broken girl. Final entry, October 20th, 1499. I've decided. I won't die. I'll have revenge. On my father, on the Borgias, on everyone who made me this way. With Giuseppe's money, I'll build an army, an empire, and I'll destroy them all. I am Lucretia Borgia. Not victim, not prey. I'm the hunter, and hunting season has just begun. But none of this happened. Because on October 21st, 1499, Lucretia was found dead, in her own room, in her bed, an empty poison vial beside her, and on the wall, the final message written in blood. Not even God can forgive what you made me become. Official record, suicide. Reality, Pietro Borgia disappeared the next day. Cesare died a week later, falling from a horse. All witnesses were silenced. Pope Alexander VI denied his grandniece's existence. Records were burned. The name was erased, but some secrets remain. They wait. And one day, they emerged. 500 years later, in 2019, a chest found in the Vatican archives. Inside were the diary, letters, and a note. My name is Lucretia. I was 14 years old. Whoever reads this know, monsters aren't born. They're made. The chest contained more than just her diary. There were detailed medical records from the palace physicians who had examined her over the years. Their clinical descriptions painted a picture of systematic abuse that modern readers would recognize as torture. But in Renaissance Italy, it was simply the fate of a girl sold too young. One physician, Dr. Marcus Aurelius of Milan, had written with unusual compassion. The child exhibits signs of what the Greeks called melancholia profunda, a darkness of the soul so complete that light cannot penetrate. Her body bears the marks of repeated trauma. Her mind has retreated to a place where pain cannot follow. She speaks of poisons and death with the casualness others reserve for weather. This is not madness. It is adaptation. The human spirit, when pressed beyond endurance, transforms into something else, something that can survive what shouldn't be survivable. Another document from a Neapolitan court observer described the public humiliations. Prince Alfonso parades his child bride like a trained monkey. Today he made her dance for the court while he provided commentary on her inadequacies. See how she stumbles, he laughed, like a newborn colt. The girl, she cannot be more than 10, stood silent as stone while grown men laughed at her expense. But her eyes, there was something in her eyes that made me shudder. Not fear, not shame, calculation, as if she was memorizing every face, every laugh, filing it away for future reference. The most damning evidence came from Pietro Borgia's own hand, contracts, correspondence, and accounting ledgers that detailed the sale of his daughter like livestock. First payment from Milano, 50,000 ducats upon signing, 50,000 upon consummation. Note: Francesco insists on preparation period of 6 years. Acceptable. Increases ultimate value. Second payment from Naples, 75,000 ducats plus estates in Calabria. Note: Alfonso aware of prior arrangement. Promises accident for Francesco. Monitor closely. Third payment from Florence, 100,000 ducats plus trading privileges. Note: Giuseppe old and desperate. Will pay premium for experienced bride. Previous marriages increase rather than decrease value. But it was Lucretia's own words that carried the most weight. Her diary, recovered after 5 centuries, revealed a mind both brilliant and broken. October 19, 1499, my last testament tomorrow, I die. This is not surrender. It is victory. They thought they owned me, body and soul. But the soul cannot be bought, sold, or stolen. It can only be given or destroyed. I choose destruction over submission. Francesco taught me that love is possession. He would hold me down and whisper, "You're mine, all mine," but I was never his. Even as he took everything from me, I kept one thing secret and sacred, my hatred. It grew in the dark places of my heart, like the poisonous plant's mother showed. Me. Fed by pain, watered by tears, it bloomed into something beautiful and deadly. Alfonso taught me that humiliation is power. He would display me like a trophy, reducing me to an object for others' amusement. But objects feel no shame. Objects harbor no revenge. In becoming nothing, I became dangerous. A void that swallows light. A silence that screams. Giuseppe taught me that age brings not wisdom, but refined cruelty. His artistic pretensions, having painters capture my innocence while he watched with hungry eyes, showed me that corruption wears many masks. The old prey on the young, not from strength, but from weakness, needing to consume youth because they've lost their own. Father taught me the ultimate lesson. That blood means nothing. Family is just another word for ownership. The Borgia name I carry is not a blessing but a brand. marking me as valuable livestock in the marketplace of political marriage. I learned my own lessons too, that poison comes in many forms, words, touches, contracts, promises. That survival isn't living, it's just delayed dying. And when you kill the child, something else takes its place. At monsters make monsters make monsters. An endless chain of creation. Asterisk, asterisk. They'll say I was weak, that I couldn't endure. Let them. They'll never understand that it takes more strength to choose death than to accept living death. Every day I survived was a day I chose not to die. Now I choose differently, to the girl who finds this someday, for I know there will be others. There always are. Know this. They will tell you to endure, to be strong, to survive. But survival isn't mandatory. Sometimes the bravest thing is to refuse to play their game. Sometimes the only way to win is not to be. I am Lucretia Borgia. I was sold at 6, married at 10, and dead at 14, but I was never conquered. In the end, I was the only one who controlled my fate. That is my victory. That is my curse. That is my gift to history. The truth that even the powerless have one ultimate power, the power to deny power its prize. They wanted a living doll. They'll get a dead legend. Tomorrow, when they find me, they'll search for someone to blame. Let them. The guilty are too many to count, the innocent too few to matter. The truth is that we're all complicit in the machine that grinds children into ghosts. Every noble who attended those shameful weddings, every priest who blessed those unholy unions, every servant who changed those bloodied sheets and said nothing, all guilty, all innocent, all human. But tonight, before the poison takes hold, I have one last task. I will write on the wall in my own blood the words that will haunt them forever. Not even God can forgive what you made me become. Not because it's true. I don't believe in God anymore. How could I? But because they do. And that message will torment them far more than any curse. They'll wonder, did we damn ourselves? Are we beyond redemption? Is there a price for what we've done? Yes, yes, and yes. The poison is bitter on my tongue. Fitting. My whole life has been bitter. But there's sweetness too. The sweetness of ending, of choosing, of finally being free. To Shazar. If you read this, you tried to save me. But I was already gone before you met me. What you loved was an echo, a shadow, a possibility that died in Francesco's bed. Find someone who can love you back. Someone who isn't hollow inside. Someone who doesn't speak in calculated words and measured breaths. Find someone real. To father. Your gold is bloodstained. Every ducat carries my scream. May it bring you nothing but misery. To mother. You tried to prepare me. The poisons you taught me gave me power when I had none. But you should have taught me one more. The poison that grants mercy, not revenge. You should have taught me how to die sooner. Asterisk, asterisk. To the Borgias. Your name will forever be linked with poison and perversion. History will remember you as monsters. But I want you to know, you weren't born monsters. You chose it. Every single day, you chose it. To the girl I could have been. I'm sorry. You deserve better. You deserve toys and games and laughter and love. You deserve to grow up slowly, to discover yourself, to make mistakes that didn't cost everything. You deserve to be more than a commodity, more than a cautionary tale, more than a footnote in someone else's story. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I couldn't be you. The room is spinning now. The poison works fast. Cantarella always does. My hands are shaking. Soon I won't be able to write. But I have enough strength for one more truth. They thought they were stealing my innocence. But innocence isn't something you can steal. It's something you can only destroy. And in destroying mine, they created something far more dangerous than an innocent girl. They created a girl who understood exactly what they were, what they did, and how to make them pay. I made them pay. Francesco died in agony, believing he was seeing demons. He was the demons he created in me. Alfonso died in madness, seeing enemies everywhere. He was right. I was everywhere, in every shadow, every cup, every breath. Giuseppe died in an instant, but the fear in his eyes as he fell told me he knew. They all knew. In the end, but my greatest revenge isn't their deaths. It's this testimony. It's the truth that will outlive us all. Someday, someone will read these words and know what happened here. Someday, the secret rooms will be opened, the buried documents found, the silenced voices heard. Someday, a 10-year-old girl will read my story and know she's not alone. That someone else survived until she couldn't. That someone else fought until she couldn't. That someone else said no, finally and forever. That's my immortality. Not in paintings or poems or family trees, but in the truth that refuses to die. No matter how deep they bury it, the candle is flickering. My vision blurs. Time to write on the wall. Time to leave my mark. Time to ensure they never forget. I am Lucretia Borgia. I was here. I mattered. I chose and now I rest. The Vatican suppressed these documents for centuries, declaring them blasphemous, scandalous, dangerous to public morality. But truth has a way of surfacing, like bodies in water, like secrets in wine. Modern forensic analysis of the preserved documents confirms their authenticity. The handwriting matches across years, showing the evolution from a child's careful letters to the desperate scrawl of her final entry. The paper, ink, and binding are consistent with 15th century Italian manufacture. The blood stains on the final pages match the DNA found on other Borgia family artifacts. But more than scientific proof, it's the voice that rings true. A voice of a child forced to become something else. The voice of a girl who learned that sometimes the only power available is the power to refuse. The voice of Lucretia Borgia, not the famous poisoner of legend, but the forgotten child whose story was deemed too terrible for history. She was right about one thing. Monsters aren't born, they're made. And sometimes, in making monsters, we create something else. Witnesses, truth-tellers, children who grow up too fast and see too clearly and speak too plainly about what adults would rather forget. Lucretia Borgia died at 14, but her words lived on. Hidden, suppressed, denied, but never destroyed. Because some truths are too powerful to kill. Some stories demand to be told. Some girls refuse to be forgotten. In the end, that was her true revenge. Not the poisons, not the deaths, but the story. The story that says, this happened. This was real. This was wrong. And someone needs to answer for it. 500 years later, we're still trying to answer. And Lucretia Borgia, the girl who was sold at 6 and dead at 14, is still waiting.